Welcome to Talk Birdie To Me. This is Australia's most popular golf podcast with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn, the only player to beat Tiger Woods twice in match play, and tour pro Mark Allen, who played professional golf around the world for 15 years, including a British Open. We're coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. Titleist is the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy is the #1 shoe and glove in golf. And thanks to our great partners, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world. Download from the App Store or Google Play. Ping, as with Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. See your local golf shop or professional for a Ping Club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. And Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Now that's better. Now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, it's time for Talk Birdie To Me. Here's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to Talk Birdie To Me, and thank you for your subscriptions and listens because we've had another record month. We really appreciate it. Nick and I are having a lot of fun. Thank you so much for tuning in week after week. Nick, good to see you.
And you, Mark? Big week of golf just gone.
There always seems to be. I mean, at the start of the week, I think Ken Percy was going well again. We had the US Open Women, so Maja Stark, well done to her. Just, good golf. And let me be honest, I hadn't paid too much attention to Maja Stark before this week.
Really? Okay, really good Solheim Cup player. And I think she came through maybe the same academy as your boy, Ludwig.
Yep.
Who you're a big fan of, obviously.
Yes.
But no, she's an outstanding player. And it was only, I felt, a matter of time until something big happened for her.
Well, Ludwig went to Texas Tech and Maya went to Oklahoma State, and she was a star college golfer. I'm really surprised more Australians don't go. I mean, it's a barrow that I push just from my experience. There are other golfers who went across who had a horrible experience, by the way. It's not for everybody. But when you see the internationals who play well in America and certainly well in Europe, so many of them, packed their bags at 18 and headed off to the States. And Maya is another one of those examples, and well done to her.
What do you think of the golf course, Erin
I hate
Hills?
the golf course. The golf course.
Tell me what you really think.
Well, look, the rough wasn't up like it was for 2017, so it just didn't have that appeal on screen.
Okay.
But also, golf course architects who just build huge greens, unless they've got elephants in them, which nobody likes, by the way, it's very boring because professional golfers are really accurate with their irons. They're really, really good at it. And, in the end, it's just two putting from distance, really.
Yeah.
In the end, in this tournament.
Scores reflected it, I guess, where it was 7 under winning score.
That's about right.
5 under was second. Nelly Korda tied as well there. Yeah. So, I watched some of the highlights. I was a little busy over the weekend, but I saw the final hole, and because that really intrigued me because I remember Brooks Koepka playing it when he won there. That pin. My goodness. I saw Nelly Korda hit a beautiful wood into the green, went long, but it goes down this massive slope to just thick rough. Yeah. And, gee, that's boring golf when it does that. I wish they'd shave it so they at least have a chance to get creative and hit some sort of shot rather than aiming 50 feet left and then trying to scramble to get up and down from range for a par or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and even Maja Stark, she had shots to play with, so she putted it 40 feet right of the flag, intentionally.
That's right.
It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
That's right.
It was smart.
It was very, very smart.
Very smart.
Yeah, very smart. But I just felt like the golf course was set up to have a boring week. If you watch Maya's last round, and I watched it, there's a highlight reel. You can go watch it if you like on the social. They just show every shot she hit. She had quite a few shots left that bounced back onto the fairway or got a good roll here and there, and that's okay. I mean, that's no big deal. That's what happens when you win. But when you watched the back nine, no one got into trouble. And that's what small greens do to you. When you miss greens and it's the back nine on Sunday, then the tournament has a different dimension to go into, which is short game under pressure, where I just felt like everybody was hitting greens. You were getting the bad bounce here and there, then you had to kind of just two-putt. Yeah. To where if it was, Pebble Beach or Hilton Head or even Augusta, I feel like the greens are really small at Augusta. That's what I feel like.
They play small.
Yeah, they play small.
small.
Yeah. So I just feel like when the greens play small or are small, it just sets up for more exciting play to watch. You know, you're watching bunker shots, you're watching flips over bunkers, you're watching all kinds of different stuff rather than people putting from off the green.
Well, coming up in a couple of weeks, Mark, you're going to be thrilled to see a golf course that has big greens but plays small as well. Some of the most craziest greens you'll ever see in Oakmont. We're in for a treat there. But the other thing that didn't really happen at Erin Hills, we didn't get much wind.
Yeah.
Now, if they got wind there, that would have been a fascinating test as well. But the girl who probably should have won was Nelly Korda. She flushed it from tee to green, but boy, is she going through some struggles with her putter. Just does not look good.
What have you seen? What does it look like to you?
Oh, it's not so much she just can't get the ball started on line. That's one thing. She does look a little too cautious with the putt.
Yes.
She's trying to steer them in rather than just freeing it up. You watch her golf swing and it's very athletic and she's just freewheeling it. You obviously would love to see that translate into the putting. It is harder to do because it is a slightly different part of the game.
Yeah.
One's played along the ground, one's played through the air. But I'm surprised she hasn't tried something different, maybe a claw or something like that with Scotty.
Yeah.
She's gone to the mallet for a while and she's sort of flip-flopping around with putters, but has the left hand low and I don't know. Yeah.
Look, I had a bit of a look. I think she's coming up on her putts. A bit like, when we see Rory do the wrong thing.
Yep.
I think her bad putting, she comes up. And it's amazing when you tell people who do come up on the ball a long way through impact, if you tell them to hit down on the putt, it changes their backswing as well. A lot of the time when people are hitting up on the putt, they actually move off, their head moves back when they take it back because they're setting themselves up to hit up on the ball. Yeah,
the interesting thing with her is she's got left hand low.
That's right.
It should make her go low through the ball.
That's right.
Like if you're actually coming up, try the left hand low because that's a good method. She's already doing it and still hitting it up on it, as you say.
So I think it's an easy look. Sitting a million miles away, who knows what a coach is telling her? I mean, her coach might be telling her to hit up on it for all I know. But from a million miles away, I'd love her just to hit down on her putts a little bit more. And that doesn't mean she's going to put backspin on the putts. That just what you think you're doing and what you're really doing are quite often totally different things. If you are coming up on the ball, if you try to hit down on it, quite often you won't hit down on it.
No.
It'll just even out. It'll just even out. So that's it. And I think once you start doing that, then she'll be able to stay still easily again instead of it looks to me like she's trying so hard to stay still.
Yeah.
And that's where that steery look comes from.
The one thing I didn't actually realise, because in the women's game there's 5 majors.
Yeah.
Obviously you have the Women's British Open, the US Open, the Chevron, the PGA and the Evian.
Yep.
There's only one player that's won all 5
Yes.
for the career Grand Slam. I didn't realise this.
They call it the Super Slam.
The Super Slam.
Now, this is really interesting,
Yes.
Nick, because in women's golf, to complete the Grand Slam,
What do you call the Grand Slam?
you only have to win 4 of the 5 majors and any of them. And the only person going
to win all 5 is our own Karrie Webb.
Karrie Webb's the only person on the planet who's got the Super Slam. And that is wrong that we don't know that.
I know.
I mean, that's
Bizarre. I think
that
Lydia
is bizarre.
I think Lydia Ko's the next one. Like she's won 4.
Yeah.
I think, and she was going for the 5th.
Yeah.
Maybe it was this week, the US Open.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, way back when, I think they only had 4 majors, so a lot of the players didn't have the chance to win 5. Obviously,
right.
So people, I'm sure there are women golfers out there who have won the career slam when there was only 4 majors, 4 out of 4. But now, only one's done 5.
Years ago, when Karen Lunn, our own Karen Lunn, won the British Open, it wasn't considered a major.
It's a travesty.
It's just insane.
How
insane.
How she doesn't have a major on her record, and then players. And then players who, when they played the Masters, it wasn't a major, but now it is a major, so they get it on their record. How does that work?
But back to the point you've made really well. How is it that you and I don't know that the only human on the planet who has won the Super Slam of women's golf is our very own Karrie Webb?
I know.
I'd never heard it before in my entire life except before this week. Because why? I think they were writing that Lydia Ko needed to win
I think so, yeah.
To complete a Grand Slam or the Super Slam.
It could have been the Super Slam. I'm not sure. It might have been just the career.
Can I just say how stupid is it that you have a Grand Slam and a Super Slam? Surely, if you've got 5 majors, the only way you get a Grand Slam is if you win all 5 majors that are available.
Yeah. Well,
Come on, say it. It's silly. It's silly.
It is. It's
silly,
a little
isn't it?
strange, but
It's
anyway.
a bit silly.
But someone who won a lot of majors, Jack Nicklaus, the tournament this week, the Memorial, one of my favourite events, by the way, in the US. It was one of the best weeks of the year. I loved it
Go and expand.
It's a players' week because Jack obviously, when you have tournaments that are run by former players like Bay Hill, you got Arnold Palmer. When Tiger runs his events, Byron Nelson, Jack Nicklaus, obviously this week, they just look after the little things and the players feel really special. We feel pretty special every week, to be honest, on the PGA Tour. But when Jack's around, it's one of those weeks. And I remember being on the practice green, just hitting practice putts, and all of a sudden the mood changed. The mood, it's like an aura or something. And this guy just walks across the green, and you could just see people. I'm watching people going, oh, and they're just melting. I mean, it's hilarious because the great players, they have an aura, right?
Yeah,
you have Norman, who's got this aura of
amazing
charisma.
aura. Yep.
Tiger has an aura of invincibility.
Yes.
Seve was genius.
Yes.
Jack, his aura is greatness.
The greatness.
It is simple as that. And I know I've told the story before, but I had breakfast one morning. I was playing really well. It might have been my first time I played there. This is 20 years ago, back in 2005. I'm doing really well. I'm running top 10 going into the final round. I'm having breakfast in the Players' Lounge. No one's around. I'm sitting there just reading the USA Today and having some bacon and eggs or whatever. Get a tap on the shoulder and this voice, high-pitched voice says, hey, do you mind if I sit down? and he's gone, do you mind if I join you? And I look up and I kind of wanted to say, well, it is your place. Sure. So anyway, he sat down and we had a chat for 20 minutes, and it was one of the greatest chats. I just picking his brain and all this sort of thing. And towards the end, you want to ask him a million questions, but I didn't want to bombard him. And in the end, I said, look, Jack, I'm in with a chance. And he goes, I know, I see you playing well. And I said, have you got any advice? He says, just keep doing what you're doing. He said, the best players, when crunch time comes, they don't do anything differently. They just execute the fundamentals when it matters the most. And his comments about Scotty Sheffler, which, Dan, I know you've got there, were just phenomenal.
Let's play the comments, because I reckon Jack might have called you a good ordinary player as well, Nick.
Oh, maybe not even good. Maybe just an average ordinary player.
Have a listen to old Jack here, because
brilliant.
He gives my man, Seb Straka, a real drive-by.
He does.
Great players are ones who rise to the occasion and ones who know how to play coming down the stretch in important events. And, looking at the leaderboard today, he didn't have, Ben Griffin's a nice player. Sepp Straka is a nice player. Nick Taylor's a nice player. Those are all the guys that were there basically coming down the stretch. But he knows that those guys, are not in his league. Now, if he'd have had, I don't know who else it might have been, but if somebody else at the top, or Xander or somebody like that would have been there, he might have said, well, that might be a little tougher. I might have to do something. He didn't have to. And I think I just asked Scotty if he watched the leaderboard. He says, yeah, I do. I said, well, I did too. I always watched the leaderboard and found out what my competition was. And I always felt like what level I had to play to fight that competition off. And sometimes you didn't have to fight it off because you knew they'd self-destruct.
So he knew nice players would self-destruct. Now, how beautiful a feeling would that be?
How good.
Once you jumped onto the 10th tee, how beautiful a feeling if you were just two back of a couple of nice players and you knew that you didn't have to do much different and they would self-destruct.
How many more majors do you think Greg Norman would have won if he'd have had Jack's mind on the back nine? Because Greg was always in attack mode, a bit like Phil Mickelson. Once Phil learned to tame it down a level, he won more majors. But those words are just are so cool. And I know he said, Ben Griffin's a nice player, Sepp Straka's a nice player. And he said, Xander, he almost came this close to saying if Rory was there, but guess what? Rory wasn't there, and he didn't actually let Jack know that he wasn't coming, by the way.
Well, that's a really good point. How come Rory doesn't have to play in all these elevated events? I thought they had to play in all of them. I thought that was the deal.
I thought they got a let-off. They got a leave pass for one of them, and I think this might be his third leave pass or his second. I don't know.
He didn't play Heritage after the Masters.
After the Masters.
I get it.
Yep. There might have been one earlier in the year he didn't play as well. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was taking a break.
Maybe.
Was there one not long after the Players' Championship?
Could have been.
But that's 3 elevated events.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure what it was.
He should have called Jack, though, surely.
Yeah.
Well, he did play the 4 years beforehand, but still, you know, when we were told about these elevated events, the elevated events are there for all the best players to play together, and that was going to be their advantage on all the other tours.
Yeah. But the other thing about Jack's comments there that I love is, wouldn't it be great to know you're just better than everyone else? I mean, Tiger knows it, Scotty knows it, Jack knew it, obviously. Yeah. You know you're better than everyone else. It's very much like those comments Peter Thompson said to me one day. He said, Nick, I knew I'd done the work. I knew I was better than everyone else, so I just thought I should win. Yeah. I mean, it's that simple. It's crazy.
It's a nice feeling. Look, when I read about Jack Nicklaus and listen, you know, every time I see him or there's an article or there's a book, I'm always reading it.
I think he's shrinking too. He's getting shorter and shorter.
He looks like he's 5'6". He used to be 5'10". He completely got rid of the pull out of his game. It was completely gone. So he only played with one side. And my understanding is that he aimed left centre his entire career, knew it couldn't go left, and swung away. So that means his miss, let's say, look, the way it was explained to me, if a fairway is 40 yards wide, if he's aiming left centre,
so 10 yards.
He's got 30 yards to play with on the right-hand side. His only miss has 30 yards. Yeah. Where if you've got a two-way miss and you're aiming in the middle, then you've only got 20 yards to play with either side.
Makes sense.
So he got complete. If you can completely get rid of one side of the golf course, statistically you're going to have more room for error. And that's Jack Nicklaus.
That makes sense.
And throw in, he was one of the greatest putters we've ever seen as well. Bunker play wasn't that flash. Chipping, I think, is a little bit underrated with the chipping. I think he got the job done.
He was decent, but, you know, the rest of the game. And it's a bit like Scotty Sheffler, tee to green, he's the best in the game. It's pretty simple. His putting is good. I think he was middle of the field with his putting this week. Yeah. And he won by 4. Yeah. And he was just an average putter. I'm not sure he actually was. He might have been strokes gained lost putting. I don't know. It's around that level mark. So, but his ability to hit the shots, the right shots at the right time. I remember Griffin, Griffin eagled 15, birdied 16, gets back within 2. Yeah. Sheffler's standing in the middle of the 17th fairway. And I was watching the event up at Cathedral when I was up there in the morning. And I said to the guys, this is going right and just past the flag. And guess where he hit it? Right and just past the flag. It was absolute perfection, his course management and his strategy. And, you know, going into the US Open, I don't know what his odds are going to be, but it's going to be. Oh, you've got him? Okay.
It's almost $4.40, and I think that's accurate.
It's almost getting to remember when Tiger was playing and they'd go Tiger against the field? Is it getting to that, you reckon?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
pretty close. Well, I think for a US Open at Oakmont, when you hit the ball like Scotty Sheffler, I think it probably is.
I don't know. Well, you got Rory now and Xander. And
I'm just looking for my man who gets no respect week after week after week.
Hang on, don't tell me. After his finish, well, he did have a good week. I'd say he's 50.
$67 on better currently.
Okay.
We can't let Mark put him in our multi. Better multi next week.
Not. No.
Mate, they just played the Memorial where the rough was the longest rough that they have played all year, very much like a US Open, not quite the same, but very much like it. He had a bad first round and then fired away. He's capable. No respect.
Yeah, I know. Similar, I was saying with Erin Hills with some of the rough. I'd love to see him cut some of the rough down Memorial where the ball goes into the water if you hit a bad shot.
I would like to see that
the bank on 17, the creeks around, is it 14 and 15 and things like that. So, anyway.
I would like to see that too. But I'm not saying Seb Straka, okay, sorry to bore sorry to bore everybody with it. But I think when you are betting on golf, no one really knows who's going to win unless you kind of got a Tiger Woods or a Scotty Sheffler type year going. Yep. Okay, so Sheffler looks to be turning 2025 into one of those years. But what I always say is because you don't really know who's going to win and there's normally about 100 players who can win every week, you look for the player who is not respected and the player who clearly is better than $67 because he only has to win 1 in 10 events where you've put money down and he's up there at $80.
I'm not disagreeing, but for majors,
that's my reasoning. I'm not saying he's going to win the US Open. I'm just saying that the money he's a 20-1 player, and they've got him at $67.
It's a big hitter's course, Oakmont, and unfortunately for Seb Straka, he's not
Yes.
a long hitter.
Well,
Okay, he does
I
well on
understand
courses
that.
where length isn't a factor. Memorial, case in point.
Nick,
Anyway,
he's at $67.
okay, so you're going to be betting on him. Good
I'm
on
going
you.
to put $100 on him.
Okay, good on you.
Nick, could we ban Mark from putting Sepp Striker in our better multi next week?
Yes.
I'm happy to do that.
Well,
for the Wolfpack's sake,
Maybe
because
we
I don't want
should
to drive everybody
maybe
we
crazy.
should do a poll on that.
No, we're not doing no, because it's going to be so. No, we're not doing that because there'll be some rat bags out there who are going to say, "Oh no, let's just make it happen."
Okay.
Anyway, well done to Scotty Sheffler. Well done to Jack Nicklaus for another amazing event.
Go
I
on.
don't know how to frame this next one because there's some good news for me personally and the club that I'm a member at,
Yes.
but there are some trail ending in the new top 100. So,
The new list.
well, there's a new list by a new mob.
Okay. What are they called?
It's called top100golfcourses.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Kingston Heath has just been ranked number 17, which, usually sits about 20.
Yeah, top 20 in
21.
it's a top 20 in the world
So
course.
it's, can you put
Me,
the top 25 up, please, of this top 100 list? But
What the first 1 to 25?
just 1
Yeah.
to 25 up first,
have a
please,
look.
because there's nothing really over the top or crazy that I see except for the course that's number 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you got Cypress 1,
Yep.
Pine Valley 2, Royal County, yep.
Yep.
Royal Melbourne
3,
West 6, yep, makes
that's
sense.
about right.
Bell Course, Oakmont, yep.
Yeah, like
Okay.
you're not going to be silly for any of those in the top 10.
Augusta's back further than what I thought.
Augusta is a hell of a long way back.
It's 16. Wow.
16.
I thought that's usually around top 10.
Now,
That's
that was,
interesting.
I just want to leave this here.
Okay.
Come back on me, please, Dan, selfishly. So that was the first thing that I saw that made me raise an eyebrow
Okay.
because as I went to 26 to 50, there we go.
Okay.
So, most of those, I'll just get up on my screen myself personally
Okay.
so I know what I'm
Oh,
talking
there's a
about here.
name. Shanken Bay. Gee.
Rightio, so
That must be in China. Oh, I think that's in China, actually. Yeah.
there's some courses I haven't heard of. So Barnbougle Dunes comes in at number 25.
Okay.
Pebble Beach has moved a long way down there to 27.
Cape Wickham, top 50 in the world.
Crystal Downs is up there. Wingfoot, I get it. California Club. Most of those, Kings Barnes, I'm glad to see that where it belongs. And Sunningdale, they all belong in that sector.
Big move by Ardfin there, up 26 spots to 44. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Big move.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, next slide, please, Dan. If we can get the 51 to 75 up.
Okay.
So this is where you normally see something like Victoria Golf Club.
Well, I know if two courses aren't in here, which, hang on, let me just check because I haven't
go
really
on.
had a good look because you just sent it to
So
me.
where-
Should be
where-
Victoria and Peninsula Kingswood's got to be around here somewhere.
Correct
right?
weight.
Right? They're not
Right.
in there? What?
Yeah, you haven't looked at this list.
No.
See?
So PK hasn't been there at all yet.
Neither the South or the North. Now, most people say the North is better. I say they're just as good as each other.
Wow.
If I was doing a list, top 100 list, they'd be next to each other. North, maybe at 50 and South at 51 at the moment. And then I'd creep them up once more and more people got to know about them.
Hang on.
But there is no Victoria Golf Club.
Hang on. Is this the same St. Andrews Beach?
Yeah. Go to the next slide,
Sorry.
please, Dan.
Hang on.
Now, this is where
Is this St.
a
Andrews Beach?
full-on investigation is going to take place.
Is this our St. Andrews Beach?
There's only one St. Andrews Beach Golf Club.
Okay.
And what number did it come in at, Nick?
89.
Right.
It says new. Okay.
So it's new in
It's
the top
new.
100 list. St. Andrews Beach.
Ahead of TRI.
Ahead of
Ahead of
TRI.
TRI.
Right?
Ahead of
Now.
apparently Peninsula Kingswood and Victoria Golf Club.
Righto.
What?
So when I wait, now this is where
Okay.
the Talk Birdie To Me investigation, this is where it clicks in the gear. Because when I looked up this top100golfcourses.com to see who are the people judging, guess what?
How many people are on it? Do you know?
You don't know who they are.
Oh, you don't know who they are?
No,
Okay.
it won't be released. It
Okay.
says, though,
Mhm.
basically people who are very well thought of in the golf industry.
Okay.
I'll just put it to you, Nick. All right. If you had
It's like
St Andrews Beach to play for the rest of your life or Victoria Golf Club to play for the rest of your life,
Yeah, I know which one I'd be going
you're
to.
taking
so,
Victoria every day of the week.
Yeah.
Peninsula Kingswood, north or south, you had that course to play for the rest of your day. You had to play it. It's the only course you could play for the rest of your life, or St Andrews Beach. It's no contest. And I'm a St Andrews Beach lover. I think St Andrews Beach, I really like it.
I don't mind it. It's a good the opening hole, the par 5, is not a good hole. I mean, it's.
That's
I
right.
thought it was a dogleg right when I first played it, and they go, no, it's around to the left. I thought, oh, okay,
That's right.
Anyway,
So
it's a nice course though. I like it.
let the investigation start, because I'll be making phone calls this week, because there is just no way what has happened here with Augusta going all the way down outside the top 10, close to Kingston Heath. Pebble Beach losing 15 spots, was it? No Victoria Golf Club, no Peninsula Kingswood, north or south, and St Andrews Beach elevated. This is why the investigation will start today. Today.
It's an investigation.
Mate, it is. Think 60 minutes.
Oh dear.
Think Four Corners.
Birdie affair or something.
Birdie affair. Current affair.
Oh, jeez.
Talk Birdie To Me affair. And I will find out who is in charge of ranking the courses in this area, because we've had this trouble before with the top 100 Australian golf courses, where a ridiculous protocol was put in place that elevated one course over the rest, which is a very good golf course, but it's not Royal Melbourne and it's not Kingston Heath. So
All right.
let the investigation start. And I'll tell you, it could be the end, which breaks my heart, because they've got Kingston Heath at 17. So I'm attacking the credibility of a golf course list that has my golf course very, very high. But you've just got to do what's right in this world, don't you? You've got to find out. You've got to find out whether anybody has some
Best
intent
interest.
and best interests.
I'm still spewing Box Hill, the mighty Box Hill.
We'll get Box Hill back into it at some stage.
we will.
Then and Southern Golf Club.
Yes.
We'll get them both into
get
the
'em
top
in there.
100. Anyway, I'm going to make a few phone calls to get this investigation started,
Yeah,
and I
turn
will
up.
see you both on the 10th tee.
Yeah.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. I mean, it feels so solid.
That's as consistent as it gets.
Oh my gosh, it's good, man. I feel hot.
I'm glad if they play a different driver, because I know this one's the best.
It's the best feeling driver I've ever hit.
We're live from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. We all know the number one ball in golf is Titleist, and the number one shoe and glove in golf is FootJoy. We're here thanks to the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Ping will always help you play your best. Turn your bogeys into birdies with the Watch My Numbers app, and Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. That's better. Now, back to Talk Birdie To Me. Here's Nick and Mark.
Welcome back. This is the 10th tee. We're going to get to Nick's top 5 in just a second. He won't tell me what it is. Just quickly, my masterclass. Have a listen to this. So Maja Stark, in her post-tournament press conference, she said that she didn't want to rely on her confidence this week. Instead, little tricks she relied on. So watch out for the masterclass, because I'll show you her little trick that she used all week.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Mark, a question for you and for you too, Nick. Looking at the list, that golf top 100 courses list, I've always had the view that if you're going to give anything that's opinion-based, you put your name to it. Why would that not be the case?
Well, this is really important. The only reason you would do that is to elevate places that you've worked on and eliminate places you haven't. Okay? So this is why the names of people are very important. And this is why the investigation has already started. I've made one phone call, and my source is going to deliver all of those names.
Another source.
I've got another source.
You got more sources
I
than
know.
an IGA. It's unbelievable.
I know.
So-
But he said he's in a WhatsApp group and he is going to find out everybody.
Wow.
You know, Dan, he calmed down during the turn there, and now he's fired up again.
Yeah, no, he's worked out.
Anyway, Carl, let's get to the top five.
I think you're going to like this top five. This is the top five thanks to Southern Golf Club.
The Talk Birdie To Me top 5, thanks to Southern Golf Club.
Top five.
Well, Mark, if you weren't fired up before, you're going to be fired up now, because I had a different top 5, but I thought, no, let's do it. Top 5 golf courses not in the top 100 that should be.
Yes.
In the top 100.
Very good.
Okay, number 5.
Hang on. In this particular top 100.
This particular top 100. Sure.
Because there's now getting
now,
too many of
I've
them.
just done it on the fly of ones that I could quickly think of. Now, number 5 I was struggling with, but I'm going to put Murfield Village in there because it is a good golf course.
It normally is in the top, in every top 100 I've ever seen.
In the top 100, yes, exactly.
Guess what? Jack Nicklaus designed. What about the Australian Golf Club?
The Australian.
Jack Nicklaus designed.
That's very
Where's
true.
the Australian Golf Club?
Yes.
It's a long way down.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Number 4, a golf course. You were talking about Peninsula Kingswood. They have 2 golf courses.
Yeah.
I like the north myself, but the south should be in there.
Absolutely.
Okay? So the south is not in there. Travesty. Okay.
Ridiculous situation.
This one's going to get you, though. Number 3, not in the top 100 in the world. Royal Adelaide.
Oh, my God.
Royal Adelaide. I didn't see the name. Now, again, it might be small writing, but I didn't see it. It's one of the great courses in the country and in the world, I think. So, number 2, the other Peninsula Kingswood course, the North, fabulous golf course. I really enjoy playing it. Wonderful.
That's
par
number
threes.
2.
That's number 2.
I would have thought that was number 1.
No. Well, again, it's just an opinion.
Yes.
But personally, I love the Victoria Golf Club.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. And obviously, that should be in there as well. So, that is my number 1, Victoria. So, in that order, you've got Murfield Village, you've got PK North.
Yes.
Royal Adelaide,
Yes.
PK South, Victoria.
They should
Top
all
5.
be, if St Andrews Beach, is what number is St Andrews Beach? Like 85?
I think I've Valderrama in there. I'm thinking Valderrama.
Mate, they should all be above St Andrews Beach. Every course you mentioned. Every course you mentioned.
St Andrews 89. I just skimmed the course. You can the list. You can see it on the screen. Royal Adelaide definitely not there.
Definitely not there?
Definitely
Okay.
not there.
All right, good.
Travis.
Well done. Very good top 5 list too.
Just breathe.
Inappropriate.
Okay. Just breathe.
Well, it makes me angry. The top 100 things are very important. You've got to get people on there who know what they're doing. You've got to get the criteria right. You've got to get it right.
There's a real theme here from you, Mark, over the last sort of year or so. It's hating on top 100 lists.
Well, they're very important in golf, Dan.
I know, I get it. All right. Okay, time for a bit of feedback, boys. Plenty of feedback this week, and a fair bit on the LIV PGA hater lover conversation that you guys had last week.
It's always going to attract attention.
Yes, it will. But first of all, I want to start with something even more important than that. This is from Jeff, and it's a bit of constructive criticism for you, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, can you stop playing with your nipples on the pod?
What? I've seen it before. I think I usually do that when I'm happy with something I've just said.
At least you're not doing the one that was the guy off the water boy where he's grabbing, where he's actually grabbing both of them. So anyway,
yes, I don't know. I'll have to change my approach.
So
thank you. Who said that in?
So that was from Jeff.
Good on you, Jeff.
Just fold your arms.
That was very funny. Okay, we had obviously a lot of comments also on the comments last week, Mark, that you made about LIV or the PIF looking to buy the DP World Tour.
Yes, or at least buy in.
Or buy into the DP World Tour. Because I think the PGA own maybe 60% or something like that. It's quite a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one from Chevy. Chevy, if LIV acquires the DP World Tour, LIV will be able to shut down the PGA Tour's lights. It'll be a better investment than another top 5 player. As a LIV fan who's got tickets to the event in Detroit in August, I would be very concerned that LIV wouldn't play in America very much.
Oh, I think it probably would.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it probably would play in America.
Maybe
Maybe less than it is at the moment. I mean, how many tournaments they got? They got 14. They got about 8 in America.
They got one this week coming up in Virginia. Robert Trent Jones Golf Club.
That's right. That's their US Open warm up too. So
yeah,
be interesting to see how the setup is.
I played the President's Cup there in 2005, and it's a nice course. Yeah. It's not a top 100 course.
yeah.
Would you prefer to play that or St Andrews Beach?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
They're probably, I don't know. Well, at St Andrews Beach, can you see the water?
No, you can't see.
You can't see the water
No.
at St Andrews Beach Golf Club.
No,
the
you
Robert
can't.
Trent
You
Jones.
can
There's
hear
water
it.
everywhere. So.
You can hear the
can hear
waves.
it?
So
Okay.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, thank you to Chevy for that. Always good to get comments from people in other countries, in this
Yes.
case in Detroit. Marshall has said, I'm a world golf lover. I definitely like the DP World Tour more than the PGA Tour for the last 10 years. I reckon more interesting courses, better time slot in Australia and more flair players. But I hate the Nance-style saccharine honey commentary on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get that. Yes.
Not for everyone.
But yeah, I mean, I'm very happy watching either the DP World Tour or the PGA Tour. But I really appreciate both commentary styles, to tell you the truth.
I think Nance is the best.
Yeah.
What he did at the Masters at the end there, where he just said enough, and then let it breathe. It was incredible. He just has that knack of doing it.
So I love Nance. I can appreciate both commentary styles. I love Nance and Immelman. I think they're fabulous.
Very different.
Very different. But I also love the way the Europeans just muse to each other, and there's a little bit more comedy in what they do, and Radar, walking the fairways. I have a real soft spot for Wayne Riley.
And they got Ken Brown and Tony Johnson and all those sorts of guys. They're a lot of fun.
Yep.
Okay, this comment from a Twitter page called Irish on Tour. The PIF could have invested in the DP World Tour from the start. A soft launch of 4 LIV events in autumn 2021 was suggested and turned down because they wanted everything their own way.
That's right. That is exactly right. Yes, I agree. But look, things have changed. It's amazing how the world setup can change very quickly. And now that Saudi Arabia has dipped its toe in the Gulf, I think they're fully committed, Nicklaus.
Seems that way. They're not going away.
Every time you hear Yasser has been in the room with so-and-so or the players or, the Oval Office, wherever he's been, people say, well, his heart's in the right place. Now, saying that, when you come from a place like Saudi Arabia where some very strange things happen in the town square, doesn't seem to make sense all the time. But, I do think he's got his heart in the right place as far as golf is concerned.
Yeah, and I think, as we said, last week, maybe the contracts are coming to an end for some of the bigger players.
Yeah, that's true too. Poulters and
it'll depend on what those players do.
Yeah.
Do they re-sign or do they maybe go back to the tours? Well, hope to try and get back to the tours they were playing. But if they're I think most of them are basically very happy at LIV.
Yeah.
So
Are they getting
I don't see why they wouldn't re-sign.
Are they getting value for money for Stenson? Are they getting value for money for
I don't know how much they paid
Casey?
for him. How much did they pay for him?
Yeah, see, these are all the questions that people are asking.
Right.
Are we getting value? All the older players, Poulter, are we getting value for money for Poult?
I mean, I think when you think of LIV, you think of, who do you think of? Bryson, John Rahm, Cam Smith,
Dusty,
Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, although Dustin hasn't been playing great, Neiman.
Well, he's
Tyrrell Hatton. There's probably about 8 players, maybe 10 players at the most, I'd say, that you kind of go, right, they're the guys.
Abraham Answer seems to be up there a lot when I watch.
Okay.
We could go all day talking about these comments between the DP World Tour takeover, potential buy-in, but we won't do that because we need to get to these comments on the LIV lover or PGA hater story that you said last week, Mark. We had a bunch of comments on that. Peter said, in order for me, LIV, DP World Tour, PGA Tour, and I also quite like watching the Asian Tour.
A lot of people love watching the Asian Tour, actually. Yeah, I've run into a lot of people who quite enjoy watching what's happening in Asia. Which interests me because I don't know why. The golf courses aren't that flash.
Well, it's a very international flavour to the field, so
flavour.
I think that probably
they always
has some
seem
allure.
like younger players to me on the Asian Tour. Maybe that's a draw card, maybe.
Jacob said, frankly, it's all getting watered down and thinned out. There's too many leagues, there's too many tours, there's too much crap out there. I'm not sure what he means when he says that. I'm not watching any of it. The PGA Tour, LIV, DP, or Tiger's sim stuff, or even anything on YouTube. Hopefully he's watching Birdie on YouTube. It's just too much. All I ever watch now is the majors.
Yeah, and I get that too. Stacks of people are like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Wayne, greetings, gents. I am a PGA hater, and let me explain why. I grew up in the golden era of Aussie Golf, Norman, Senior, Allenby, Lonard. The summer of Golf on 7 with Sandy Roberts, Jack Newton. It was brilliant. And every year I'd go to the Masters and I'd have a great time.
Yep.
Sadly now, our tour is a long way from those glory days. The stars rarely come back. I love the pod, and long live LIV.
Yeah, now it almost sounds like he's blaming the US Tour there for expanding their season. I was still playing golf at that stage, and I remember in 2003 when I stopped playing, the tour that I joined in 1990 had 20 events, thereabouts, maybe 22. And at the end of 2003, 2004 only had 3 events. And that's one of the reasons why I completely stopped. I wasn't exempt anywhere else. I wasn't going to hang around for 3 events, so off I went. Now, my gripe back then was I looked at South Africa and what they had done to their Sunshine Circuit, and
Sorry,
they had...
Did you say 3 events for a second?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, they had a Von Nyder tour.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, they had the Von Nyder tour, and then they
'Cause I'm sure
only
you're
had
playing
3
other-
events.
right,
They had
okay.
the Australian Open, the Australian Masters, and the Australian PGA.
Okay.
That was it,
Right.
basically. So I could make a living. I don't think anyone could have made a living off the Von Nyder events.
I thought we used to
And
play,
I was at an age where I was trying to make a living.
my memory isn't the best at the best of times, but I thought we used to play like the Jacobs Creek in South Australia with the Clearwater over in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think they came along when I finished.
Did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Right.
like I said, December 2003 was my last one.
Okay.
I looked at the only ones where you could really make some money. Maybe that's the way I remember it. The only ones where you could make some
big
money,
3.
the big $1 million tournaments, there was only 3.
Yep.
So what was I doing? I'm trying to make a living. I had to make a living. I was 33 years old. I've got to make some money. So just golf in Australia wasn't for me anymore. That was over. But I always looked at that stage why we didn't go down what South Africa did. And they did it first, which was line up all their events on the European tour. What we tried to do was to go to this thing called One Asia.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that was kind of Australia trying to jump into Asia. That just did not work. That was completely hopeless. So I was always astonished that with the history that Australian golf has had, going from Australia and their first step into the big time was Europe, why we just didn't join Europe. I wasn't angry because I was finished, but I was really disappointed for everyone who came after me that wasn't a priority. Instead, this One Asia was a priority, which was never going to work in a million years, not in a million years.
No, we've been co-sanctioning events with Europe now at least for several years, which has been great.
Yep.
John's made a point here that is a little bit of a nuance on the comments you made last week. He said, Mark, I think the people who defend LIV, and I like LIV, but I also like the PGA Tour, love watching Scotty play. It's not a LIV PGA issue. It is the PGA Tour management that we don't like, not the PGA Tour.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
No worries. No worries. So I think a lot of people, when they say they don't like LIV, I think they just have it 3rd or 4th. You know, it might be just the 4th if they're going to watch something. It
Something
might be the
to
4th
watch.
thing that they watch.
Yep.
They mightn't be hating it. It might just be the 4th thing that they watch.
Watch the highlights.
That's it.
It's generally what I tend to do.
Yeah.
Twitter page called Lad Golf has had a bit of a crack here. Mark, I'm calling BS. The fact you claim LIV ratings are going through the floor and the PGA Tour ratings are climbing, when in reality the opposite is true, suggests to me that you are just raising this as a controversial talking point. That said, I hope I am wrong.
Now, Dan, you were very good after that post because you actually put in writing the facts of what was going on, which I'm very appreciative. I'd read the facts, but I was glad that you put it down for others to see.
Well, we won't go through them now, but they're on the Twitter page. But yeah, the ratings were very clear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very clear. It's not that LIV doesn't have anyone watching, but the PGA Tour has significantly more watching.
That's right. And I think the point we were making was, why would the PGA Tour now negotiate with LIV when their ratings are going in different ways?
Yeah.
So I think, what does Jerry Seinfeld, what does George Costanza say? He's got hand.
He's got hand.
The PGA Tour's got hand.
Okay.
And LIV Golf doesn't have much hand anymore. But they LIV Golf, with their money, would have a lot of hand at the DP World Tour. And the buy-in might happen. Who knows? Who knows where they're at with the talks?
Yeah, so we might end the feedback there. We've got heaps more, but we can't go all day. The one thing I will make mention of here, and this is a bit of feedback from me to a certain member of this podcast, Mark, last week.
Yes.
You got a haircut.
Yes.
This week, guess who else got a haircut?
No, it looks nice. It It looks nice.
You know, there's some listeners and viewers out there that are
When did you
keeping us
start
on our toes.
When did you start dyeing your hair grey?
Oh,
It looks really nice.
yeah, thank you. How's those little peaks going?
They're going all right. They're going okay.
All right. On that note, time for the Ping Global results. Because Ping will help you play your best like they have for your entire career, Nick O'Hearn.
They certainly have. They certainly
You got
have.
a new set of sticks too, didn't
Yeah,
you?
I've been using the Blueprint tees.
They look
which are
like blades.
They're a blade.
I didn't think you were a blade
Neither
player.
did I. But these things, they look like blades. They feel like blades, but they don't hit like blades.
Wow.
They're just beautiful.
Incredible.
Love them. Yeah, very forging.
Are Ping a big supporter of Nick O'Hoo as well as Nick O'Hearn?
Yes, they have helped out Nick O'Hoo in the past.
Okay.
Although I'll probably due an upgrade as well. So I might have to put that out there. I need I won't be getting the Blueprint tees as Nick O'Hoo, that's for certain. There'll be a bigger sweet spot for me. So anyway, PGA Tour, obviously we had the Memorial Jacks tournament where Scotty Sheffler, he actually birdied 4 of the last 5 on Saturday to get a one-shot lead over Ben Griffin. And when he gets the lead, he shuts the door.
Yeah.
The guy does not lose. He had a 4-shot win over Ben Griffin in the end, which makes him the only player to go back-to-back at the Memorial. Tiger Woods being the other.
Well, Tiger did it twice because he won 3 in a row.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Two lots of back-to-back,
maybe
as well as
maybe
a
next year. It's his 3rd win in the last 4 starts and 14th career win. So fabulous going there. Seb Strucker, your buddy, 3rd. Well done to Seb.
Yes.
Just
keep watching.
Keep watching.
$67 at the US Open currently on BetR.
Yeah, Ryan Fox had a nice solid week, tied for 20th. Adam Scott, great comeback. Shot 79 first round, then 69 second round to make the cut. Because they do have cuts in their signature events.
Yeah, so they should.
Yeah, tied for 31st for him and Min Woo Lee tied for 49th. We had the US Women's Open at Erin Hills where Maja Stark, as we said, had a 2-shot win over Nelly Korda and Ryo Takeda from Japan. Her caddy, Jeff Brighton, was a stand-up comedian. Did you know that? That was one of his old jobs. And basically to keep her calm and to keep her focused, he would tell her jokes that lasted 3 or 4 holes, these really long jokes. So she'd always be engaged, between shots, because that's a massive part about this game is to switch off between shots.
I'd want to know the punchline. If you start a joke, I want to know what's all right.
Well, apparently, did it for several holes to keep her calm, and it obviously worked. So well done to her.
Like you make your backstream, you're going, what the hell's the priest going to say? I get the bartender, but what's the priest going to do?
What about little Johnny? Yeah, that's right. Best of the Aussies was Hannah Green, tied for 12th, Min Ji Lee, tied for 22nd, and Lydia Ko, the New Zealander, tied for 26th. On the DP World Tour, we had the Austrian Alpine Open, where German Nikolai von Dellinghausen,
great pronunciation,
very good name,
there.
had a 2-shot win over Norwegian Christopher Reitnen, who won last week, the Sudal Open, shot 60 in the final round, almost had a rating.
60?
Almost had to do a 59 rating. It was a 10 under 60. So it would have rated pretty low on your scale. Yeah, that's right.
That's where I was heading towards.
But he had a 2-shot win over Reitnen and also fellow German Marcel Schneider. Daniel Gale, good week, tied for 17th. Good to see him playing well.
Did he get in off the exemption that he would have got from finishing top 3?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I think that would have been one of his starts. Yeah. Good pathway from our PGA Tour of Australasia.
Yes.
Danny List also tied for 27th with the best of the Aussies. On the Champions Tour, we almost had an Aussie win here. We almost had 2 Aussie wins this week.
Playing well, Cam Percy.
He is. Cam Percy lost in a playoff to Miguel Angel Jimenez. And
how old's Miguel?
And Soren Keltsen. You know my boy
Soren?
Oh,
yeah, mate.
Yeah. So Soren shot 9 under 63 final round to get into the playoff. He had a 1-shot lead over Percy and Jimenez, but they both birdied 18 as well. Get into the playoff, and Miguel birdied the first playoff hole. So
Miguel's 60-something, isn't he?
61.
Wow.
He might be shooting his age soon. What do you think?
Well,
I know you talked about it last week. So
well, he could have shoot a 61 somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Michael Wright, another good week. Tied for 6th. Mark Hensby tied for 8th. And Steve Allen, your cousin, tied for 18th, were the best. And
I'm so happy for Michael Wright.
Yeah, he's playing good.
Like I think we mentioned it last week. You hole a freak shot on the last to get your card, but then you cash in on holding that freak shot on the 72nd. I think it's just brilliant. A great Australian persistent story.
And he's playing well. He's securing his card for next season as well, which is
good on him.
Really
just
good.
So great.
But the other Aussie winner we almost had was Justice Bozio on the LET Access Tour. They were in Spain. She lost in a playoff, first extra hole in a 3-way playoff. A couple of Aussies did well there. Steph Bunky and Abby Teasdale tied for 8th. This week, Canadian Open on the PGA Tour and LIV
Actually, can I
Virginia.
Just make comment? on our girls.
Mm.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit with all the boys versus girls tournaments that we've seen these names appear at the top.
Correct.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit that this is one of the big reasons that they can make the step to LET as comfortably as so many of them are. So I guess, it is a big well done, because I know that there is a feeling amongst some of the players that maybe we give too many spots to the girls in these tournaments. That may well be true, but the fact that they have many more tournaments to play in Australia now, I think is just, every week you read out someone's name that I've watched, you commentate on.
Well, Justice played
who's doing well on the LET.
She also played the ANWA, the Augusta National Women's Amateur, a while ago as well. So she's one to watch out in the future. Abby Teasdale's another, but WebEx Players Series events, they've done it really well here.
Yeah. So Gavin Kirkman and Karen Lunn, well done for what you have done and the persistence, because the girls we see make the transition, it's getting more and more common.
Indeed.
Okay, now before we go to the masterclass, have you had an update from your contact on the investigation, Mark? Just have a quick look at the text messages. Anything come through or not yet?
No.
No? Okay.
Hang on. I got one from Alistair Presnell.
Oh.
Urgent, keen to talk about the Tigers. What an idiot.
Bloody hell.
Alistair Presnell, he won one of those tournaments we were talking about.
Yeah, he did.
At Moona Links. Isn't that funny? Yeah, we're talking about it. There he goes. And he also, at the US Open at San Francisco, he was leading, outright lead halfway through the second round.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Alistair Presnell.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
And he's a big Richmond Tigers fan. I don't know why he's sending these stupid messages for.
Well, thanks to Watch My Numbers, you can get on Google Play or the App Store. The Masterclass is next.
So Maja Stark has just won the Women's US Open. She did a wonderful job. And she said in her post-round interview that she was using little tricks. So I was interested to know. She went on to say that she was hovering the golf club. Now, I noticed her hovering the golf club on her putts as well. But look, this one's really easy. When I say hover, Greg Norman, Jack Nicklaus, they both didn't ground the club. They would waggle and they would just put it down to about there, then they'd start their swing. Now, what that does is it gives you a beautiful, smooth takeaway. It's nice. But what Maja was doing, and I couldn't believe it, she was doing it with the putter as well. So I love seeing players bounce the putter. It just keeps you moving. But what Maja was doing is she put the putter behind, then she'd lift it fractionally, and then she would hit her putt. Now, this may or may not help you, but Maja did this to win a US Open. So if you're having a little bit of trouble and you want to get rid of some of the tension in your game, maybe this hovering is for you. Anyway, thanks again for listening. On behalf of Nick O'Hearn and myself, we'll catch you next time.
And that's been Talk Birdie To Me, Australia's most popular golf podcast, with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen, coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. As everyone knows, Titleist is the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to subscribe, maybe leave a review, and we'd love you to share the pod with a friend who loves their golf. Huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Ping, like they do for Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. You can see your local golf shop or professional for a Ping club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet always beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. Watch My Numbers is the most powerful data-based golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. And better, they've got the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Download from the App Stores today. Now that's better. Keep in mind, what are you really gambling with? But for now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time.